$144.99 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as a discount on your first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan.
I have a court date. I go to the court date. I'm with my dad. And it's at like Worcester Courthouse, I remember. And I knew that they were going to commit me to the Department of Youth Services. So I don't know what they call it here in Florida, but essentially, you know, if you're either in trouble at a young age for something really, really bad, you know, stabbing somebody or something crazy like that, or if you're consistently like messing up, they'll commit you until you're 18 as like a
habitual.
Way to, yeah, exactly. And I was habitual and my charges weren't that severe, but I think they took it really seriously because of the substances I was using. And the reason I only stayed in that treatment program for 2 weeks was because my insurance wouldn't cover it. And so I think in hindsight, I think the judge was probably trying to commit me because it would give me access to more services to get help. And also, like, I couldn't stop using substances. I just kept getting loaded. And so I show up to court. My attorney makes a mistake of telling me that I'm going to be committed that day. And I'm like, sure. And I'm like smoking cigarettes at this point. I'm like, I'm going to go out front and smoke a cigarette. And I go out front and smoke a cigarette. And I call my best friend, Heather, and I'm like, come get me. And she comes and picks me up. And I just am on the run for the next few months. That I run away from the courthouse. And I'm like, my big plan was to like run till I was 18, you know, till I aged out. Yeah.
Well, how did they catch up with you?
So I was...
Heather's a problem, by the way.
Say what?
Heather's a problem, too.
Oh, I know. Heather, bless her heart, she's not doing well. She lives out here, too. I think about her all the time. She was not as much of a problem as me. She was just, you know...
She's helping.
Yeah, she was.
She got that call and said, yes, yeah, it sounds like you're a hit. You need to go back in there. I'm not coming to get you. What are you talking about?
Teenagers, you know what I mean? I'm like, they're keeping me forever. Come get me, girl. And she's like, all right, I'll be there. Yeah, so she shows up, she picks me up, and I don't remember, she dropped me off at, you know, some guy's house that I knew out in that area, out near Worcester. And yeah, I'm just kind of on a rampage for the next few months. And eventually I end up back in like my home area. I'm in this like city called Fitchburg, this like kind of crappy, like shitty little town, city, I guess, not very nice, kind of like poor area. And it's a college town. And I go to some party for Halloween. It's like a Halloween party and I'm drinking and it's the next morning. I'm super hungover. And I'm living out of like a bag of clothes and I'm with Heather again. And Heather and I go and meet this guy that I had been spending time with who had like my bag of clothes and also some H for sale. And I go and I buy some off him and it's like a McDonald's parking lot or something like that. And Heather and I pull out and a minute and a half later we're pulled over. And my first thought is, you know, they saw me buy drugs.
Right.
And I'm like, and I also have a warrant. And by this time, I believe I'm 16. I'd been maybe on the run for 3-4 months. And I'm pulled over. Heather's driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And I'm like, oh, my God, they're gonna lock me up for the next 2.5 years. I think I just turned 16. So, like, almost 3 years. I'm like, I'm not going. And the cop asks for her name and her driver's license, and she gives them all that information and then asks for my name. And I don't have an ID because I don't even have a permit or a license. So I give them like someone else's name and they go back to the cruiser to check. And I'm like, I need to get out of here. And she's like, Glenn, don't run, please. And I'm like, no, I'm out of here. And I open the passenger side door and I start running and we're like on a hill. And I start running because I think that he's about to pop me for possession. And he was like, you know, in his 40s, which at the time was like a million years old, no offense. Yeah. And I'm like, I can outrun this guy. You know, I weigh like 110 pounds and I like take off going to Bull and he catches up to me right away and we're doing the whole like left, right thing. And and he finally like tackles me and he's trying to get me in the cuffs, but he's like, stop resisting. I'm like, I'm not resisting. I'm obviously resisting. And then some like motorcycle guy pulls over and he goes, do you need help? And he just body slams me, this like citizen who doesn't look like he would be like a good Samaritan, because he looks like a Hell's Angel or something. He's wearing like leather, he's on a Harley. He like body slams me, and then the cop puts me in cuffs. And it turns out we had just not came to a complete stop at a yield sign. If I had just been chill, I probably would have been fine.
And him running you, if you're just turned 16, I don't have a license. My name is, Jennifer Johnson. He's gonna go, okay, well, there's whatever. What's your, even if you gave him a bad date of birth, he's gonna be like, well, she's just not in the system. That's all.
Yeah, I didn't think this through. I was not thinking the process through.
You were panicked, Totally,
I was panicked. I didn't want to go. I didn't want to be locked up, and also I had a habit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't want to withdraw, and
I hear it's great to withdraw in prison.
So fun.
The best. It's like the best experience.
It's the best. It's amazing. No, it's terrible. So now I get put in cuffs and I have like cuts all over me. My fingers are all cut up. I have like rips in my jeans. I'm all cut up. And so because I am a minor, technically speaking, they can't even search me. They can't touch me. And so I still have this, this H in my pocket. And they take me to the hospital and they end up bandaging me up. And it's not much, I'm 16 years old, on the run, living out of a bag, but it was enough to like get me off of empty. And they end up bandaging me all up. And during that time when I'm at the hospital, I end up putting it in my Band-Aid on my finger. And so by the time I finally do get to the police station after the hospital, they search me and they never find it. But I was charged with assault and battery on a police officer, which was an adult charge. So now I'm going to juvenile court for the Department of Youth Services and the DUI thing. And I also have a pending adult charge for assault and battery on a police officer. Because it turns out even if you don't assault them, if there's any unwanted contact, it's assault and battery.
Right. So what, do you have a question?
I was just wondering, it's not even that important, but I'm wondering, did they ask you, like, well, why did you attack this police officer if they never found anything?
Yeah, why'd you run? Yeah.
They did ask me why I ran. I remember it was the state police, and they were like, why did you run? That's the fastest guy on the force. I was like, well, but also they ended up finding out that I did have a warrant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was kind of part of the reason that it was the main reason I ran, but also I didn't want any possession charges, because at that time at 16 years old, I'm like, oh my God, if I have a possession charge, like I'm going to spend the rest of my life in jail, which definitely wasn't true, not in Massachusetts, but.
What's your dad thinking, right? Like, what's your poor dad? Mm-hmm. What are you at any point thinking, hey, you obviously know you have a problem. Mm-hmm. Are you thinking at any point, hey, maybe I need to try and straighten up. I need to try and go straight.
They don't want you to know about it.
Hey, did you know you might get a big cash payout?
I think leading up to this point, I really didn't think I had a problem. Like, I really thought that I was doing the things I was doing because I wanted to. I was like kind of in this delusion where I'm like, oh, like if I wanted to stop, I would, but I don't want to. And when I finally was arrested that last time, and I knew I was gonna spend some time in juvie, like a considerable period of time, that was the first time that I actually got honest, because I had been lying to probation, I had been lying to my dad, and my dad, like, he wanted to believe what I was saying so badly. Mm-hmm. And I was just so manipulative. And the truth is like, he was doing the best he could, but he was raising two daughters at like 60 something years old after retiring from the military, retiring from the post office, spouse left, can't pay the mortgage. And he's working overnights, 11 to 7 in the morning, 5 days out of the week at the hospital, because he had gone back to work to try and like pay the bills. So he like wasn't that present, to be honest, not because he didn't love me, but he was just trying to like provide. Right. Yeah. And he's like a straight edge man. Like he's never smoked cigarettes, doesn't smoke pot, like barely drinks. Like he is just so out of the loop.
No understanding.
Yeah, he's totally out of the loop. And I was a good liar, So Yeah, I think it was a little bit of lack of like oversight and parenting for sure. And I think he also felt a lot of guilt around my mom leaving. I think he felt like partly responsible because how it was affecting me, especially. But yeah, he's like really concerned. I don't know if he was relieved that I was locked up or whether he was sad. I think it was probably a mix of both. At least he knew where I was.
Right.
Yeah. So I end up, being committed to the state of Massachusetts.
For how long?
I was committed until I was 18. I spent a little bit less than 2 years, almost 2 years locked up in the Department of Youth Services with a bunch of other girls who were also committed until they were 18. It was like behavior modification, kind of, you know what I mean? It was like, we didn't go outside, we didn't leave. Couldn't have visits unless it was a parent or a legal guardian, and that took even months. No phone calls out except for like a legal guardian who is deemed appropriate to communicate with.
You have to take classes.
So we're kids, so we have to go to school. But the schooling, even at that time, I was a bad kid, but I was smart.
Right.
I was smart, and most of the kids hadn't made it past the 6th grade level. So we were essentially all in the same classes, you know what I mean? So I wasn't like getting what I needed. I was definitely not going to pass the 10th grade. And so, I end up going to school because we have to. And yes, we have some classes like therapeutic classes like DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, but I don't remember them being super helpful.
Did you end up getting your GED?
Later on, I did. So I got out of there after 2 years, and I went to like a girls' like really structured treatment program until about a month before I turned 18. So the last like 6-7 months before I turned 18 and aged out of the Department of Youth Services, I was in like a recovery home for girls. And I end up getting my GED when I finally get out. So I end up getting out and I go to like dual enrollment, and I'm like working towards getting both my diploma and my associates, and I'm like sober. I'm doing pretty well after like spending almost 3 years, in the system. And then I start drinking, and it kind of all starts up again. And I eventually just get my GED. I stop working towards the diploma, and I just take the test and get my GED.
So when you get out, do you go back to live with your dad?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm living with my dad until I turned 18. I was like on an ankle monitor, and I was like the Department of Youth Services was very strict. I was like, they called in every night to make sure that I was like in by curfew. I couldn't leave the house. And then when I turned 18, I got off Department of Youth Services, but I was still fighting. I wasn't fighting. I was on probation for the assault and battery on a police officer. So I had adult probation for about 6 months after I turned 18. So I had like another layer kind of
supervision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was a suspended sentence. So as long as I like kept my shit together, it would fall off my record.
Did you?
I did until like maybe 2 weeks before probation was up. I started getting loaded again, and I relapsed and I failed 1 drug test. But I had been so good that the probation officer, like, I told her I took like a Tylenol 3, and she believed me, and she
didn't
was,
believe you.
She did. She did. She did, because she'd only see me like be good, right? And so she was like, okay, fine, and she like let me off still. I think I had gotten pulled over because I had crashed the car in a school zone, and the way I got caught for that drug test is I had somebody else's pee on me, you know what I mean? And I was on my way to probation, and the cop, when I was pulled over, found the pee and brought me to the courthouse. He's like, you're gonna pee. I don't know what this is, but you're gonna drug test today. And she wasn't there that day. So I never ended up drug testing that day. And then I came back and drug tests, and I never actually like peed dirty, but I told her, the reason I didn't is because I took like a Tylenol 3 because I don't know, bumped my toe or something. I don't remember what it was. I kept kind of getting out of things.
Right. So and then you went to community college, you went to college, you ended up getting your degree as an accountant, and that's the story. Thank you for coming by.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Everything
so-
turned out great. No, probably about 6 months after my 18th birthday, right before I got off probation, I started having issues, but I was able to like get off probation and be off paper. I got a job as working at a Victoria's Secret. It was like my first job. And I finally got my license because I wasn't able to get my license until I was 18 because of the DUI and all this other stuff. So I finally got a license. I got a car. I'm working at Victoria's Secret. I'm doing H. I lose my job day 2 during training because I can't stay awake in the back. You know, they make you watch these training videos or whatever.
Right.
And every time the manager comes back, I'm snoring and he fires me, or she fires me. I don't even remember if it was a he or she, to be honest. It was only 2 days of work. And then I start working at the strip club. So I'm like, I can't hold a real job. I need to.
How do you get that job? You just go in, or you know a guy?
No, it's not hard. Yeah, you just walk in. You're 18 years old. Hey, I'd like to be a dancer. And I don't know. It just didn't occur to me that maybe this is a bad idea.
If you're processing someone's card details, you need to get PCI DSS. You need to get SOC 2 so that we can do the business we say we're going to do.
It really just didn't.
What does your dad think? You're still working at Victoria's Secret?
He has no idea. Yeah, he has no idea.
You just stop asking questions?
Yeah, I mean, I had been a wild child for a long time. So even when I was home, after my mom left, I was barely living at home. I was doing whatever I wanted, even as a kid. And so the only period of time where I was consistently home between the ages of 12 and 18 were those 2-3 months until I aged out of the Department of Youth Services and was on the ankle bracelet. And it was because I was required to be there, I had a bracelet on. My dad hadn't really had much of a say in what I did for a long time, to be honest. I was doing whatever I wanted. I was a troubled kid, and I was a troubled 18-year-old as well. So,
You started a strip club.
Yeah, I started working at the strip club.
Is this a decent strip club, or is this
The first
may
one
look like I just did the same thing, but no, the first coat I had on, that was a contour. And I put on foundation, and now I'm putting on bronzer, so it's just a warmth and everything. So I'm not double contouring. I'm just adding some bronze to certain areas. Hold on. I'm just adding some bronze to certain areas to bring some color and things back. But I wanted to say that. But back to the podcast we go.
The first one was a nice one. It was a fancy one. It was in Worcester, Massachusetts. What was it called? Forget. There's a couple, but I ended up working at one for a little bit and then going to another one. I think it was called Centerfolds 2000 in Oxford. And they were they were pretty nice. Yeah, and they were, no touching, nothing like that.
Right.
So I was making decent money, and I was, supporting my habit and all of that stuff, and, had an apartment, car, all this stuff.
I think I want to put some bronze.
And maybe after 6 or 8 months or 9 months of doing this, I didn't want to.
6 months, that's a good run, right? You couldn't keep the legit job for 2 days, but this is a good run. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, this one's decent. I don't think it depends on the club, but for the most part, they didn't care if you were just low key about it. Most of the girls are using.
Right.
Not all, but many.
Well, I dated a girl, really, almost all through college, really.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it was pretty much all. I think I maybe met her my second or third semester, but I dated her, and she worked as a stripper. And listen to this cliche: she worked her way through college and got a degree in finance. Swear to God.
No, I've seen that.
It's not always. I know that's I'm going to college,
Yeah.
but that was actually true. But she worked at Scarlett's, which was at that time, I don't know what it is now, it was a really high-end But they were like, no, if you show up after this time, you're not going on.
Yeah.
You can't leave before this time. You have to be walked to the car. You have to, if we see anybody exchange a phone number or anything, you're done. That's it. I mean, it was super strict.
Yeah.
But I also think that at that time, the mayor of Tampa was like, they were really all over these strip clubs.
Because the sex work stuff.
Yeah, they were sitting in cops and everything. So they were scared and they had a liquor license. Like they were like terrified. Like y'all could the girls could get the club in huge trouble.
Totally.
So they were all over. So I was wondering, but I know other strip clubs.
Well, I've worked at a couple. The first few were pretty decent.
This is Massachusetts, right?
This is Massachusetts. So Massachusetts strip clubs, there's not that many in Massachusetts, and they're pretty strict. There was like one ghetto one in Worcester, but I never worked there. There was only 2 in Boston that were right next to each other. One was like a little ghetto, and the other one right next door, which was like Centerfolds Boston, was really, really nice. Very expensive, very high end. Like every girl was a 10, you know what I mean? Like stunning women. Most of them like relatively normal women. There were a couple girls who, I remember I was working with one girl who was in law school. Like there were girls like that for sure. It just depended on the place. And in that place in Boston, it was very strict as well. But because it was so strict, it was like harder to make money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's harder to make money, especially when it's like really strict and really high end and the prices are like very, very high. But what you're getting is really like, you're just like Centerfolds Boston. Like if you're going in the champagne room, it was usually because some guy had brought his wife, you know what I mean? And it was like $2,000 to like even just get up there. And this is, 15 years ago, like it was just a lot of money for really nothing. Like you couldn't touch our knee. The dances were like arm's length apart and they were watching you. Like there was no touching. Super strict. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this. And I started working at some clubs in Providence, Rhode Island. And that was a whole other story. It was like, there were like brothels.
Right.
Yeah. There was cops coming in and it was on the news and like recording. It was essentially, I think at the time, and you could probably look this up, but don't quote me exactly, but indoor prostitution in the state of Rhode Island was legal. So like in clubs and in massage parlors, like you could do sex work.
Right.
Yeah, so it was kind of a free-for-all, and then that changed, but obviously, like, the clubs and the massage parlors did not.
Right.
And then they started, like, cracking down, and most of these clubs, especially the ones in Providence, were, like, owned by mobsters.
I was just going to say, I feel like that's kind of a mobbed-up area, and there's a lot of corruption. And it's kind of like, to me, it's like Las Vegas. Like, in Las Vegas, prostitution is not legal, right? But it's only a misdemeanor. So
Totally.
I think it's there's some county just out, it's like 20 or 30 minute drive outside of Las Vegas County or whatever that county is. And that's where like they have the bunny ranch and that's legal. But if you're in Las Vegas and you're a prostitute, you get busted, it's like, okay, we take you downtown, we take a picture, you run my finger, okay, can I go? And you're right back out. Like it's just one
LA's
misdemeanor
like
after.
that too.
Right. So
Yeah.
So even there, if they're like, oh, we're gonna really, crack down. Okay, you're cracking down on, what are you giving me though? I'm getting a misdemeanor. And even then, when they're cracking down, right? Like the mob is connected. So the cops are like, we could care less. Like, and then they'll tell them like, hey bro, we're supposed to be, in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna be really cracking down for a couple months. They're like, gotcha.
Totally. The cops at the front door, oh my God, I used to sleep with the guy who would do details at the front door. He was like a cop. He was friends with all the owners. I remember our manager at this like club in Providence that I was working at had just gotten out of federal prison, you know what I mean?
Right.
For like embezzlement and a bunch of other weird stuff. And like, he comes back to his old job and they open him with like, they welcome him with open arms. The owner, Dick Shappy, like, I don't know if he was a mobster, but if he wasn't,
certainly connected, right? In
It
some
would
way.
be it would be shocking for
Yeah.
sure. He would like come in with like his like chest hair out, like 3 buttons down, and like he was like 70 years old, you know what I mean? He was so old, and he always had like beautiful women sitting at the table with him with like huge tits.
We
And
just had him on the podcast, didn't we?
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
No, not
my
him.
gosh.
No, but a guy like he came in and his shirt's down to here, and he's probably I think he was like in his he was in his 60s,
He's in his
right?
60s.
Late 60s.
He's got
Yeah.
He's an accountant. He does content with models.
And amazing hair, by the way. Wanted to just point that out.
Yeah.
Amazing hair, in amazing shape. And
Yeah.
it was just like
this guy was not in amazing shape.
Not the
No,
same
no, not the same guy for sure. Yeah, it was a crazy ordeal. That place, a lot of girls, Cuban girls, would come down from Florida to go there because they would make a lot of money during the winter
Right.
time here during the off season, and then they would come back here for the summer.
I was gonna say the chick I knew, or the chick that I was dating, Chrissy. There was a girl that would fly in on, I want to say Friday nights from New York, work for like 3 or 4 days here, and fly back, and actually had had a kid in New York, and she was like, I just I can't. Or was it?
Oh, thank you.
Or was it the?
Thank you.
Was it the other way around?
Thank you so much.
It depends on the season.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a minute, I could be wrong. She might have been flying to New York and then flying back and raising her kid here because it was so cheap here.
Yeah.
To live in, but she was making so much money in New York. That's what I think happened. It was the opposite. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like I remember thinking, this is a jet set stripper. Like, what's going on?
Oh yeah, there was a lot of us girls would do that, go to different places during different seasons where it was
That's insane.
popping, more money.
Your brand is special, and so is what you do. We are Any Promo, and we help company.
Yeah.
So what's happening with the addiction? Like, is it getting worse? Is it?
Yeah. There's periods of time where I get on like the Methadone clinic, and
So you at this point you're kind of trying to get off, or you realizing it's like, hey, this is an issue.
I'm going in and out of like treatment centers, and so here I am working at this like kind of wild place in Providence where it's like all bets are off. Like they don't care if you're sleeping with people in the champagne room. I mean, it's pretty much expected, like they don't really care what the hell you're doing. But I am so strung out, and I'm going into the bathroom, and I'm doing what we do, and I'm getting caught all the time, and the house mom's like sending me home or putting me on week-long suspensions, and I'll like go to treatment, and I'll come out and be like, look, I completed treatment. She'll like let me work again. I'm like doing this thing like over and over again, and then finally I'm on the clinic for a little while, and I wouldn't say things are better on the clinic. I'm not using, so I guess that's better. But and I'm not like doing crime, but like I'm still handcuffed to some like substance, and then I eventually like I meet a boyfriend, and I end up like moving in with him, and I stop dancing, and I try to go back to college, and I'm like trying to do the thing, and I'm still in the clinic, and I kind of clean things up a little bit, and I moved to like out towards Boston. I'm in a relationship with this guy, and
Who is this guy? Was he like?
Yeah.
What does he do? Like, who's?
Yeah, so he was a cop, actually. Yeah. He was a cop, and he was like a really normal, nice guy.
And he knows you have a problem?
No, not really.
Oh.
No, he doesn't. Because at this point, I'm not actually using any substances. I'm on the clinic. And so he doesn't know that at first. And then I tell him, and like he doesn't really understand what that means. He's like, oh, well, you used to like, I tell him that I was doing pills or something like that. And he's like, well, you used to do it and you don't anymore, right? And like, cool.
You're good now.
Yeah, like you're good.
Okay, right.
Everything's all right? And I was like, yeah, for sure. And arguably things were a lot better than they had been.
Right.
But yeah, for like maybe a year, like things are pretty chill. He's like working. I'm on the clinic, which sucks. So I'm like handcuffed to like where I am, so I can't really travel or anything. But things are okay.
What does that mean? I don't understand. You're not using, but you're still on methadone?
I'm on methadone, right?
Okay.
So I'm not like using illicit substances. I'm not going out in the streets and like
Does
buying.
he know you're on methadone?
He knows that, yeah.
Okay.
He knows I'm on that.
So he's kind of hoping you'll wing off and you'll be good.
Yeah, I actually end up doing that.
Okay.
So I end up like weaning off slowly but surely. Like after a year, I get off of it and we like go on vacation to like celebrate like my freedom, you know? And I'm off it for maybe a few months.
Just a second.
And I start using again. And he's working overnights, 11 to 7 in the morning, and I am like getting loaded. You know, I'm like going out and like being a weirdo in the middle of the night and like meeting, you know, dealers and just doing things I shouldn't do. And he's not hip to like game out of personal experience, but he is a cop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's not totally like an idiot, and he's like knows something's going on, but he's not quite sure what's going on, and he's like wanting me to share my location of where I'm at.
Thinking that, like, does he have your location on?
Totally. He's like, yes, but this is, again, I'm probably only 19 or 20 years old at this point. So this is like 13 years ago. So it wasn't like I had an Android. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't as easy to just share, but there were some apps, but there was also ways to kind of like fudge it. And so I'm like constantly kind of like manipulating, deleting my location history and like showing him other things, leaving my phone. And I'm just I'm just always like kind of lying. And he'll catch me sometimes and just be like, why are you lying? And I'll convince him otherwise. But like, he is like not trusting me at all. And he knows I'm like up to something.
Yeah, you can feel, you have intuition, right? Like
totally. He's like, what is going on? And he's like becoming like very insecure, for good reason.
Yeah.
For good reason, to be honest. And like he starts coming home and I'll be like passed out at 6:30, 7 in the morning. He's like in uniform and he'll like search the house like a cop would, like search the whole house. And he starts like finding like paraphernalia and stuff like that. And like I'm waking up with him in uniform, like with stuff in his hand. And he's like, what is this? And I'm like,
could also be his job too, right? Like, I mean, if you got in trouble and he's with
it 100% is. I mean, it's
more than just.
It was many layers. It was one, like he cared about me, like genuinely, like
right.
He loved me and he cared about me, and he could see that I was like not only lying to him, but like that I wasn't okay. 2, it was 100% his job, which
right.
He cared about and valued. I mean, there was like a lot of layers of like why it was a problem, but like, he was a normal guy. You know what I mean? He wasn't he didn't hit me. He wasn't like abusive. He wasn't a big drinker or anything. He was like a very like normal, nice guy, honestly. And I just like could not like keep it together.
Yeah.
And after like once or twice of him like catching me red-handed, he's like, you have to go to treatment. Yeah. And I go to treatment, spend 2 weeks. He sticks it out. He's supportive. I come home. I start the same thing. And he's like, you're out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of my house. He's like,
you gotta go.
He changes his phone number. He changes all the locks. And like, he's like, he completely like just cuts me off. He's like, I can't do this. Like, this is crazy.
In my wife's case, so she was on an ICE conspiracy in Okeechobee, which is the big lake in the middle of Florida down there.
Yeah.
If you look at any map, it's the huge
I've
lake.
heard of it, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they always say, like in Okeechobee, they have dairy farms, and they have, ICE. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's like the 2 main industries.
Yeah.
And one of her co-defendants actually a few of her co-defendants were dating officers, but this one was dating an officer, had a kid from the officer, was dating it, and when she eventually gets busted, because he knew, and like there was a definite kind of overall conflict of interest, and he knew what was going on, knew, had been, that he not only got fired, he lost his certificate. Like, he can never be an officer again. Wow. And yeah, so I mean, it was she devastated this guy's life.
Right. Yeah.
And he didn't really, like, what did he do wrong? Like, I never
Understand.
Quite sure. I think it's just a matter of the sheriff just saying no. And all the sheriff really has to do is they have to kind of write a letter. Yeah. It doesn't take a lot for them to remove that certificate and say, yeah, I'm sorry, you're just not, you're not making good decisions. So I could definitely see him being, it's not just you, like you said, it's you, he cares about you, but 2, you're devastating your own life, but you're not taking me with you.
Totally. Yeah.
So,
No, he was like, enough is enough. Like, you and I are done for good. Like, I never want to see you again.
oh,
Yeah.
that's sad.
It was sad. I mean, also understandable. I mean, he had to protect his peace, his livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah, his freedom, his career, all the things. Yeah. It was pretty devastating. But at the time, I was so young. I was like, oh my God, my soulmate, my life is over. You know what I mean? And I just went on like a tear for the next few years, just like back in the strip club, doing the same thing, getting loaded, just the same like cycle. Possession charge here, you know, pulled over here, in and out of county jail. I'm just like getting in trouble, but relatively minor stuff. And I always get out of it because I can like show up, you know, and like look nice and put on like the,
Right.
I'm a good girl type vibe. I was like highly manipulative.
Yeah.
Is really what it comes down to. And then I meet like boyfriend number 2 and another normal guy. That was like my MO. I would like meet very nice normal guys, like not drug dealers, not addicts.
Right.
Good job, nice family, you know, stable, supportive, like nice guys. And
then ruin it.
oh, and I would ruin it. Yeah, totally. I would ruin my life, their life, and like the whole thing. And I meet him, and he, you know, works for like a financial, you know, company. He's in finance, and he's relocated to Texas for work. And I have like a raging H habit, and he has no idea. He thinks something's up with me, but he can't figure out what, because I'm like spending a lot of time in the bathroom, which is always like, why is she in the bathroom so much? But I think he thought I was doing blow, because like that like made sense. He was from like Greenwich, Connecticut. So he's like, you know, he's like, yeah, but she's probably doing some blow, which is like fine. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal. But I was not. I was, you know, like doing H, which I don't even think he had considered that as an option. And I'm like going in and out of the bathroom, and he is like, hey, do you want to move to Texas with me? And at this point, I had a couple possession charges. I was failing drug tests again. I was on like the sheriff's department, which is like drug court, you know, where you have to show up like 3 or 4 days a week and like test. And I'm failing. And in Massachusetts, they're like relatively lax. So I would fail, and then I would eventually like check myself into detox again. I'd be like, look, I, you know, completed a program. They'd be like, okay, we'll give you another chance. And I do that a couple times, and I know I'm pretty much out of like chances on that front. And so I like take off to Texas with this boyfriend. And
Are you allowed to take off to Texas?
No,
Oh.
no. I take off to Texas. I don't have a warrant quite yet, but like any day
You know it's
now.
coming.
Yeah, any day now. And I can't stay sober. I just can't do it. No matter how many times I'll go to the 5-7 day spin dry in the detox facility, I get out and I do the same thing over and over again. Like I cannot, and I'm convinced that it's Massachusetts that's my problem. Like if only I can get out of Mass, I'll be all right. And so I find this like nice guy, and I'm like, this is perfect. I'll like leave Massachusetts. I have like a nice normal guy, like through osmosis, our lives, my life will get better. And things are pretty, I end up kicking out there cold turkey. It sucks. And I like get it together for about 8 months. And then I'm working, I'm bartending. We live in a nice place. We have like normal friends. I'm drinking a lot, but like it's not as bad as using substances. And then I go back to Massachusetts to visit. And I'm only supposed to be there like 5, 6, 7 days and go right back to Texas. So I go to Massachusetts. I have a warrant, but I'm like, it's all right, I'll be fine. You know, I'm sober. And I end up relapsing and I overdose. The cops come, they charge me with the second possession charge. And I'm like 21 years old, and they're like sending me to prison for the first time because I have like multiple possession charges. I absconded from a warrant, then I caught a new charge.
How long do you go? How long are they sentencing you?
I go for like a year, which
What the guy? What do you tell him?
Well,
Or you just disappear? I don't know. She got on a plane. I haven't seen her since.
The craziest thing is that, so I took like a pill and some opiates, and I totally, like I overdosed. I have absolutely no recollection, and I'm out of it for like 2 days. I literally wake up in prison. and I don't know where I am. And the crazy thing is it's not really the type of offense where you typically go to prison, state prison for. It's usually a county jail type deal, you know, possession charges. But they were full. So I went to state prison instead. So I'm in MCI Framingham. I'm like 20 or 21 years old. I have like fake eyelashes, you know, like the permanent fake eyelashes, and like my hair's done, my nails done. They're all calling me Barbie. You know what I mean? It's like, but I end up being there for about a year, and the boyfriend is like, what the fuck happened? He's like, you're where? How? What? Like, what is going on with you? And he ends up like waiting for me for like a year, and I end up getting out, and I get the second possession charge dropped. And I'm going to court. I'm going to 2 different courthouses for the different charges, and I get out and I'm released to a treatment program. And then once I'm done with that, I leave, and I end up like continuing to get loaded in Massachusetts for a few months. I think I got out in August, September, October, November. It got cold in Massachusetts, and I was like, I'm going back to Texas, and I like went back to Texas.
And he was still the whole time he's with you.
Yeah.
And he takes you back.
Mm-hmm.
And you're still addicted, but now you're addicted in Texas. Are you detoxing in Texas?
Yeah, I do, but then I start getting loaded in Texas, which is like the first time. Because before I really did clean up for 8 months. I didn't know where to find it. I hadn't really sought it out. But when I go back, I don't do that same thing. I start I start seeking it out. Like, where can I?
Yeah, I was gonna say, how do you seek it out? What do you?
I mean,
I wouldn't know where to go.
if you spot it, you got it. You know what I mean? You know somebody who's like,
A fisherman knows a fisherman.
Totally.
You're like,
yeah. Like game recognized game.
Yeah.
Exactly. So there's that. And I think I'm working in like the service industry. I'm bartending, I'm waitressing. And like, there's one girl who like, I can tell. And I ask her and she's getting loaded. And so there's that. And then also like later down the road, I'm like traveling all over the country, like in my active addiction. And we'll talk about that at some point. But I just like Google like, where's the worst part of town? You know what I mean? Highest crime rate. And I go there and you just ask someone, you know what I mean? It's really not that hard.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was going to like West Dallas. So I was living in Dallas. I would go to West Dallas. There's like this area, this road called Singleton, or Harry Hines Boulevard, which is like the track. So like I start going to these places and I, you know, just like, hey, do you know where to, you know, and they take you. So I start doing that. And like, it's like progressing, it's getting worse. And I start using ice, which I had never used before. And so I'm doing that and I'm doing H. And so I'm like twacked out. I'm like disappearing for 3-4 days at a time. He's like, where the fuck are you? And I have like his car and I'm just totally MIA. But I had this relationship with him where I was like pretty honest with him. I would like lie on the front end and then I would just like tell the truth.
Right.
With the previous boyfriend, the cop, like, no, I was lying 100% of the time because he would lose his mind. But the second boyfriend, I would be like, listen, this is what I was doing. I'm really sorry. And he'd just be like, I don't really know what to say to this. And so I would do that. And then eventually things progress to such a point where we like break up and he's like, I'll give you a chance to get on your feet, but like, you gotta leave, you know, I'm not gonna put you out on the street, but like, you have to leave. This isn't working. I care about you. It was really sad. And that's when I met Money Mike, who became my pimp, because
Money Mike.
isn't that funny? Just like the movie Friday. I know people joke. I think that's where he got the name, honestly. I don't know. I don't think I asked him where he came up with it, but yeah, he was like a full-fledged like pimp.
So wait a second. So you get tossed from your house. So
well, I'm still technically staying there.
Oh, okay. So but he's saying you got a week or so to get, or a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. You got to start
figure something out.
You start moving out.
Yeah.
You have to
So we're
figure
like
this out.
living in the same house, and it's a very sad situation. Because like I really care about him and he really cares about me, but he just sees this cycle and he's been going through it at this point for a few years with me.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm causing chaos in the house. You know what I mean? Every time he leaves, he has to like figure out who's gonna be there, whether if I leave with the car, will I be gone for 8 days? our gang member's gonna steal the car again because I'm out smoking rocks. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, there were so many. I got his car, 2 separate cars stolen on 2 different occasions. One time it was resold on OfferUp, and we actually ended up getting it back, but it had been like chopped up, and like, you know, the engine and the battery, everything was sold off and like replaced by like really, you know, trash parts, and like sold to some sad woman who had like a child, and like and it was found like on OfferUp. Another time I was like in the hood, I let some dealer use my car, they stole it, gave it to somebody else, and we ended up tracking it down and getting it back. But like it was just like, and he was not living this life, and he's like pulled into this, like dealing with the chaos of it. He's like, this is crazy, you know? And so we're living in this house. It's very sad. It's very depressing. I want to be out of the house as quickly as possible. Like, I really don't want to be there anymore. It's very uncomfortable. Like, you can cut the air with a knife. It's like really uncomfortable. And I'm, you know, disappearing for days at a time, which at this point he's like, I don't care what you do. You just can't have my car.
Right.
And don't bring anybody into this house. And I had been in county jail at a certain point. I think I got another DUI. Tarrant County Jail in Fort Worth, Texas, and I had met this girl while I was there. Maybe I was there for like 3-4 months or something. I don't know. I just kept getting like little petty charges and like over and over again, doing a little county jail time here or whatever. So I get a DUI. I end up in Tarrant County Jail, and I meet this girl. And like, we become friends in county jail, you know, we become buddies. And I end up getting out before her, and I was like, oh, I'll put money on your books, and, you know, I'll like call you. And I actually do. And her and I become friends, and she ends up getting out a little bit after me. And she's a tweaker. And she grew up in like a really, really rough part of East Fort Worth, like rough life. You know what I mean? Mom was a tweaker, no dad, had a kid super young. And I'm like down and out at some point. I'm like in some trap house, phone's been stolen, ID stolen, you know, whatever chaos is going on in my life at that moment, something like that's going on. And I use somebody's phone and reach out to her on Facebook Messenger. And I'm like, do you have somebody that could pick me up? And I'm in Dallas at this point, and she's like, yeah, let me hit up my boy, Taz. So she hits up her boy, Taz, and Taz ends up picking me up. And he's with Money Mike. And I think Taz was like trying to like, I think he was trying to like be on some like pimp shit, but he wasn't a pimp. But Money Mike was. I didn't know this.
Do you have any idea how insane this sounds, right? Like this is nuts.
It is, yeah, it is insane. It is insane.
And it's not like you haven't seen a better life. Like you know, like it's not like some people we interview, or really, let's face it, I was in prison for 13 years. So I mean, I sat down for hours and talked to these guys, and you talk to them and you get to know them. And then after, you know, 10, 20 hours of really spending time with them, you kind of look at them and you're like, you didn't have a fucking shot.
Right.
Like you've never had a shot. Like
that's how it was. I mean, when I was in juvie and even county jail, I would say like 80% of the girls is like that. It's like, oh, they don't have there's no chance.
There's no chance. You were never good. Like, I don't know what was going to change the outcome of what's happening right now.
It's like so sad.
But you were dating a cop. You were dating the finance guy. And they're so tolerant. And which is even shocking.
I know.
I mean, and like, in the idea that you're now in this situation in a, you know.
I know, it's crazy.
A shitty house with a bunch of drug addicts that have stolen all your stuff, and you're reaching out to some tweaker chick you met.
I met in county jail, yeah. I know.
Do you look back now or do you still kind of say, no, it made sense, I can understand, or do you think to yourself, do you look back now and go, because I look back on I mentioned this the other day, I look back on me in my 20s and 30s and I think, whoa, yeah, what made you think that was that was the go-to move? And I'm thinking, what? But at the time when I made the decision,
it made sense.
Of course, that's the only move. Of course, that's what I'm going to do.
No, I think even then, because I had, you know, some people. There was always at least, you know, 1 or 2 like people in my life who had sense that like weren't living the same life I was living, and they'd be like, I don't understand.
Right.
Why did you do this? Why are you continuing to make this decision? It's like the second boyfriend would always say like, and you know, like, I'm married now, and it's been well over a decade, and we're still like friends, and he's, you know, in a relationship, happy, healthy, everything's good. And he's like, I always like knew that like you didn't want to be a piece of shit. He's
Right.
like, I knew that you weren't like trying to hurt me, but like it's like you couldn't see past your own nose. Like you kept making these decisions, and I just knew that you had more sense than that, but it just didn't make sense that you were in this cycle. And so he was like, that's why I never got mad at you, because I knew you weren't a bad person. You were just making these crazy decisions. And I really do believe that, like, in hindsight, my decisions were really driven by my like substance use disorder. I mean, it was like severe substance use. When I was younger, when I was a kid getting into trouble, I was almost trying to get in trouble. I think it was an attention seeking
Right.
thing. It was like, you know, like being defiant in class, like almost like attention seeking stuff, like
Yeah.
pay attention to me. And maybe that was like correlated to like not having my mom there and my dad not being as present as maybe, I don't know if it was subconsciously correlated to that. I think it probably was. But after juvenile detention and like doing some time as a kid, I was like, getting in trouble is not that cool.
Yeah.
I actually don't want to intentionally get in trouble. And so after that, once I turned 18, like I was really trying genuinely to fly below the radar. Like I'm like, I'll do crime. I really don't want to get caught.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's actually not that cool to like outwardly be getting into trouble. And I just would fall short. I don't know, over and over again. And I think I was just doing whatever I could to survive at the time.
At this point. So
Yeah. At this point, I'm like, oh, I don't have a place to live in Dallas. I can't be in the relationship with this person. I also I don't want to be sober. And
more than ever, right?
Right.
Like now I have no nice house and a cushy
No.
place to sleep, and
Totally.
the boyfriend, and now I'm in a shitty area, and like
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to be sober here. If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. When you're not resting well, everything else feels harder. Your focus, your mood, even your recovery. GhostBed is here to help you fix that. They've spent decades perfecting how to build a bed that's comfortable, durable, and designed to actually help you rest. Every GhostBed mattress features premier materials, proven cooling technology, and their exclusive ProCore layer, a targeted support system that reinforces the center of the mattress where the body is heaviest. It helps keep your spine aligned and your back supported, so you can wake up ready for anything 2026 throws at you. Each mattress comes with a 101 night sleep trial and a 20 to 25 year warranty, so you can try it risk-free, knowing it's built to last. Shipping is fast and free. Most orders arrive in 2 to 5 days. GhostBed has great prices to begin with, up to 50% off comparable brands. And Inside True Crime listeners can get an extra 10% off site-wide for a limited time. Just go to ghostbed.com/Cox and use promo code Cox at checkout. That's ghostbed.com/Cox, promo code Cox. Upgrade your sleep with GhostBed, the makers of the coolest bed in the world. Some exclusions.
LPL, or Lawyers Professional Liability Insurance, protects your firm and individual attorneys from errors.
and I don't necessarily know that Money Mike is a pimp. Like when he's coming to get me, I don't know right away. And he doesn't give me the full story. I know now that he had just done 10 years. He had just gotten out that week. So he'd done 10 years for pimping and pandering.
Is this a black guy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. But he didn't like tell me what he was in there for. I knew he had just gotten out, but Money Mike had no money when we met, you know. He had previously for sure, but I think when he went into prison, he like lost everything.
Yeah, of course.
But I like catch on pretty quick. I'm not stupid, and I catch on pretty quick like what he's up to and like what his intentions are and what his plan is. And I had never been in a situation like that specifically, but I had been doing some like sex work type stuff in Providence, you know, when I was working as a stripper.
Yeah.
It was not to this level for sure, but at that point, like, it's not like I hadn't done something similar.
Right.
And the way that I was looking at it at the time is like, okay, like I need to get some money. I need to like get a house, get a car, like become self-sufficient. I can't do it like bartending because I can't support my habit and pay bills. Like I can't do it bartending. I just can't manage both. So I'm like, how can I make a lot of money as quickly as possible? I had like very little self-respect at the time. I was just like willing to do whatever. And I was also like very like disassociated and like pretty far removed from like my own like experience. I was like, you know, I was willing to do whatever. And so I started to catch on as to like, you know, what he was and who he was and what he was up to. I knew. And I was like, I'll get something from him. He'll get something from me. Like he can teach me the game, whatever, and then I'll take off and run with it. And so, you know, I start prostituting. Yeah.
What is that? Is he telling you like, go to a hotel? Hey, I talked to somebody. I need you to go to this hotel, room 101, or is it like you're standing on 56 and Bush Boulevard?
Yeah. So, when you're working the streets, not always, but at least in my experience in Texas, there were girls. At this time, I'm the only girl because he's fresh out. But later down the road, there's more girls, you know, more hoes. And it really just depends on how the girl looks, how old are they, what's their race, on where he puts them.
Right.
So some of the ones that are a little bit more tore up are the ones, you know, like walking the track. And
we just interviewed a guy named Pimpin' Ken.
Okay.
Pimpin' Ken. He's a famous pimp.
Okay. What did he say?
He gave us he kind of gave us the game.
Yeah.
His whether this is true or not, I don't have any reason to not believe him. But one of the things he basically was doing was he was going and getting girls, and then they were going to strip clubs, and he was working deals out with the strip clubs to get the guys to run up bills, and then they would get a piece of the bill or get them to, you know, swipe their card and get money to pay it that way, and
take them to the casino,
cash out money. I mean, it was insane.
And string them along
With the intention of sex. That he made it sound like, but they never really have sex. It may seem like more like a long-term kind of a scam, but
well, so there was
some of that,
there was definitely all of that. He didn't have any deals with the strip club, but we would go into the clubs and come back and like give him, you know, some of what we would make, all of what we would make, really. But I was not on the track. It was primarily Backpage at that time. So we would have like an out call, which is like a hotel room, right? And at the time it was really like, I don't even think Backpage exists anymore. I remember the time when it went down. And he was like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Because it was really like you would post, let's say, at 6 in the morning. That's like a really good time to post, 5:30 a.m., 6. And as soon as you would post, the calls would start coming 1 to 2 minutes later. Hundreds of calls. Like hundreds of calls right away. I remember this is like, again, like 13 years ago, probably more than that. You could only post ads using Ethereum or Bitcoin. And at the time, like I didn't have a bank account. Right. So like we would have to go to like a Bitcoin ATM, like put cash in, get the code, put the code for the wallet into Backpage, and then post on back. It was just, it was crazy. But we would get hundreds of calls. I mean, I wouldn't see hundreds of people each day, but it was like people would come in for like 5 or 10 minute visits, but on their way to work, like construction workers and stuff. It was crazy. And then there were some girls who would like walk the track, especially after Backpage went down. But it was a little bit more dangerous, like on the track, and honestly, less money a lot of the time. Like Backpage was so good as far as like money goes. And then after you do that for long enough, eventually there's people that you'll see who are what did they call them? Not Johns. They would call them hobbyists. That was like the internet, like underground term for a trick, right?
Right.
The hobby. That's what it's called. And the hobbyists were not just like a guy who, you know, once a year has a little fun with a prostitute. No, like guys, where it is their hobby. This is like what they do for fun. They either see girls very regularly and many different girls, or go to different cities and travel, and like always, you know, in hindsight, they were probably sex addicts. You know what I mean?
Right.
They had a problem. And so once you see one of these guys who's like very enmeshed in this, like underworld, right? If they see you and review you there's these other websites that you can't just sign up for. You can't just, you know, sign up like you can for Backpage. It's invite only. So you have to have either an invitation from somebody who's already, you know, on the site, or they have to review you. So if a hobbyist who's on this site, who's been verified, and they verify him because they'll like take a picture of his face, they'll have you take a selfie, and you'll like, at the time, I remember you would have to like write a piece of paper with the date. This is like before